Hi, so in this video we will see how to automate an API bot. So to start with, we have to make sure that particular application is being registered and being mapped to your project. So this is the API application that I have registered and map it to the project, and make sure that your agent is active and is running and it has been registered in your account. So once this prerequisite checks are done, so let's start with the bot building, where we will directly jump onto the automation module and we will start with creating the API bots. So for this I have chosen the API from GoRest, where they provide free APIs for testing and prototypes. So I have taken one post and one get, where you'll be able to see the details in this page. So from there I have taken the APIs. To start with, I'll click on create a new test bot and I'll give a test bot name. So API post API bot, and I'll be choosing the API application, and in advance we have how to active action fails. So if it says stop if action fail, if any one of the action fails, then the whole step will fail or the whole execution will fail. If you give continue if action fail, it fails. Though it fails in any one of the one or two places, the execution will continue, and this is a global weight, it is here. And here we have app reset and description is optional. Click on create. So once you click on create, this is the API bot building page, where we will be giving informations of this API segment by segment, and we will be building this API. So to start with, there is two main phases, that is build request and define test on the response. And in build request we have query params, headers and body. Other than that, we have build the main build segment, test data, artifact and bot result. Build segment, as it says, this is the place where we'll be building the bot, and in test data is the place where we'll be adding the informations or the data that needs to be tested for those particular bots. Artifact is the place where if you want to push an image or an document into the API, then in that way these artifacts will work, where we will input those image and documents in this artifact page first, then from here we will import it into the API. And bot result is a place where we'll be able to see the previous executed bot results. So I'll be back to the build phase again, and in this we are in build requests. And as of now, in method we'll be showing first post, and in Tenjin Online we support 5 methods, that is get, post, put, patch and delete. I'll be on post and I'll be giving the request URL. So this is the request URL that we have for the post. And query params is the place where if you want to see any particular data, or if you want to fetch any particular data, this query params will be of use. And headers is the place where we'll be giving the header details of the particular application, including authorization, content type, all those things. So for that we will click on add more, and I'll give content type, and I'll give the content type as application/JSON. Next comes the authorization. So I will type just authorization, and I'll give the value here, which I have already saved. So once I have given the authorization, next will be the accept key. So it will be a star hyphen again a star. So we have given these details, but if this detail needs to be fetched for those APIs, then we have to select these to make them mandatory information for that API. So once one part of the segment is filled, please save it so that it won't be lost. So next comes the body. Here is the place where we'll be giving the body. So we support form data, XWW form, URL encoded, and raw. In raw we support JSON, XML and test. So I will be in JSON and I'll be giving the body. So this is the body, if you can see, and I have parameterized a few data. So where I got this body is in the same GoRest, where you'll be able to see all the API details, curl examples of those APIs, and all syntax, everything will be there in that particular website. So I have taken this body for the post, and in name and email ID, where I need to change every time, I have parameterized it. So parameterized is nothing but it will be of this syntax, where it will start with open double curly braces and close double curly braces. followed with a variable name that indicates the particular field. So this will be created in the test data where I have to fill the data and execute the bot. So for name and email ID I have parameterized, gender and status I have left it as the same. So once I have filled the body also, I am just giving a beautify here and I am saving it. So here we have done with the build request. Next comes the response for that particular build request. So this is the place where we will be validating the response that we get. So what I will do is the expected status code for the post is 201. So that details is also available in the website. So I want to, so this, the first tab is for the response header test, next is the response body test. So here I want to validate the content type, and we have few tests that can be done. So I want to check whether that content type is present in the response body or not. This is one. And in response, in the header, in response I want to check whether the name that I have given is equal to the name that it got from the test data. So for that, here we will be using something called path expression. Path expression is nothing but how that particular field is being identified through a path. So if you Google it, you will be able to find how to write path expressions. So I'll just show for the body that I'm going to push. So it will be $.name. So this will capture the name of that particular body that I'm pushing, and I want to check whether it is equals to the data that I have given in the test data. So for that I will give the parameterization again, and once this body is pushed, there will be an ID that will be auto generated. So to capture that ID, I will be giving the path expression of the ID also. So I will be giving $.id, and the test will be something called capture value. So there is equals, does not equal, contains, is present, is not present, and capture value. So equals and does not equals is validating with an expected data. Contains is whether we are checking whether that particular thing contain what kind of data that it contains. Is present, is not present is whether that particular field or the node is present or not. Capture value is used to capture the data. So I'm giving capture value, and I'm giving an variable name to capture the data. So that ID will be captured and stored in the variable called ID. So once this part is done, we will save this also, and we will give the test data. So the remaining thing is only test data, where we will be giving the test data here. So for test data, as I told, we will go for this module where you will be able to see the tabular column where the name that we give for parameterization will be available. So I will be just giving a random name here. It will be so this is one way of creating. So if you want to add one more, either you can go and click on add dataset, and you can give a dataset name and you can fill the data, or you can export this as an Excel sheet and you can fill the data in that particular Excel sheet, and you will be able to add it as well. So here there is default. I want to add something called data set 1, and I want to give the data. So I will be like so once we have provided the data, we will save this CSV sheet and we will re-import it back. So for that, we will click on the three dots again, go for import dataset, go browse, it will be the latest CSV file, open it, proceed. So you will be able to see the datasets here. So in this way we will be able to import and export data sheets as well. So once all the data are available, let us execute it and check. For execution, we will click on run test bot, give the agent name, and a dataset. I will go with dataset 1 and I will click on run. So once you click on run, after a few seconds, if you refresh this page, you will be able to see the status of this particular API, where it took 1.2 seconds for the API to come back with the response. And if your network is a little bit speed, then you will be getting it more quicker as well. So if you see, the response status code has been verified, the content type we are checking whether it is present, and the output is the node is present, and the name that I have passed is equal to the name that I have given the data set, so that is also a pass, and I have captured this ID and stored it in a variable called ID. So we will see how to use this in a get. So I will show how a get bot is being built now. So for that I will close this, go to the test bot again, and I am creating a get API bot. So you know the other details. Let me create this, and in the same way let me fill the request URL. So in query param we are going to fetch the particular ID that we have stored. So I'll click on add more, and I'll give ID, and from where we are fetching this ID. So for giving this variable, calling the variable name, we have a syntax where double angular curly braces, double close curly double angular open braces, double close angular braces, within which we will be giving from where we are taking the variable and what is the variable name. So we will be giving that bot name, that is post underscore API hyphen bot followed by double semicolon followed by the variable name. So in this way we will be calling this particular ID and fetching the data back. So for making it available, I will click on this checkbox and I will save it. So once this is done, I will go to the header and I have to fill the header. So in header I will go for content type, I will give the content type. Next comes the authorization. Let me give the authorization. So once we give the authorization, next comes the body. So body will be an empty body because we are going to pull a body from the server or the database that it is having. So once the body build request is done, we will go for the define test response. So here we will be giving the check for the response. So the status code for get is 200, and if I want to validate the header, the same way I am validating the content type, whether what it contains. Next comes the path expression. So here I want to check whether the ID is present or not. So what I will give is, I will give $0.ID. So that will be the path expression for the ID that it is being took. So I will check whether what it contains here also, or I will go with is present. Okay, so once this check is done, I will save it and I have to execute it. Before execution, the ID will be generated if there is an active execution that has been performed. So for the data to be stored in this ID, I need a data to be there in this particular ID, right? So we ran the post bot first so that the ID will be having a data. So now we will execute it. So for execution, we click on run test bot and we'll give the agent name and we'll go for default dataset here and run. So after a few seconds, we go and refresh this, we'll be able to see the pass status, and we'll be able to see the checks all passed. The request will be, we sent the ID, exact ID, and this is the response that we got. So in this way we will be able to create a post and get API or any other API bot. In the same way, if you want to download the request and response, for the request and response we have given a separate download button where you will be able to see the request and downloads of the request and response. So if you click here, it will be downloading, or if it is empty, it won't be downloading. So I'll go for response and I'll click on download here. In the same format of the API body, the API response will also be downloaded. As it is JSON body, the response will also be in .json. So this is as far as the bot building of the API is considered. There is one more feature in API where we can import a different API collection. So if I click import API collection in the bot building page, you'll be having a button here. So once you click on it, we support two collections, that is Open API collections and Postman collections. So we'll go for Postman collections here. So what I'll do is, before this I have to need a Postman collection. So in Postman I have created the same API post and get. So let me export this. So for that I'll go for the collection header and I'll scroll down, and there will be a export option. So I'll click on export, and I'll be having it in the version 2.1, and I'll click on export. So once I click on export, it has been downloaded in a particular place. I'll go for downloads and I am saving it. So in downloads, this particular collection has been exported. So once that has been exported, I'll be choosing the API application and I have to browse that particular collection. So what I will do, I'll go for the collection, click on it, open it, and it will be uploaded. I'll click on import. So once I click on import, what happens is it automatically fetches what are all APIs or what are all requests that are there in that particular collection, and it will list you down. So in that you can choose either or you can choose all. So to choose all, you can click on this top checkbox so that all the APIs will be selected. Or if you want to select a particular API, then you can click just only on this post API. I'll click on this post API and I will click on add selected APIs. So if you see, you'll be able to see the post API. Go on _ post API. This has been imported from the collections. So in this way, you will be able to create an API from the scratch in Tenjin Online, or if there is a collection that is already available, then you will be able to import this as a collection as well. Thank you.